If you walked into a bookstore in China in the 1990s, you saw all sorts of books that had only been read underground in the Soviet bloc and that you could buy in a bookstore. If they didn't deal specifically with the situation in China, there was an incredible range of things that you could read. So beginning in the mid-1980s and onward, you could buy 1984 in translation, George Orwell's book that supposedly if you were in a Big Brother state, you can't read about Big Brother. But you could also read Hannah Arendt's book on totalitarianism. You could buy all kinds of liberal economic thinkers and conservative economic thinkers. And one way to think about it, I think, is that in the 1990s, in order to keep notoriously difficult groups from getting too pissed off and on the streets again, thinking of intellectuals and students, there was an idea that you should give people consumer goods that they wanted to keep them placated. That one of the reasons the Soviet bloc had fallen is because, to put it really crudely, people in East Berlin knew that people in West Berlin had better stuff and were having more fun. So what about trying to make it so that people on the mainland felt that their stuff was as good as the stuff in Taiwan, and they were having as much fun. They were going to more movies, they were eating better food. And for intellectuals, the consumer goods that intellectuals want include things like the political philosophers that people are reading in different places. You had this kind of openness to ideas without openness to organizations that could put some of those ideas into practice, if that makes sense, and a censoring of things that were specifically about China, specifically things that had happened in China, including the fact that tanks had rolled into Beijing like an occupying force in 1989.